Thank you for listening to this PodcastOne production. Available on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
This episode of the Steve Austin Show is brought to you free today by our friends at BetOnline.ag. Here we are, the start of September, and that means it's football time. Now is a great opportunity to get in on the tremendous sports betting action in NFL and college football. And if football don't do it for you, get hip to what's going on in Major League Baseball and the UFC. Get in the mix at BetOnline.ag and use the promo code PodcastOne for your 50% welcome bonus. BetOnline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partner of PodcastOne Sportsnet.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
From Hollywood, California, by way of the Broken Skull Ranch, this is the Steve Austin Show.
Give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Now, here's Steve Austin.
All right, everybody, welcome to Steve Austin Show. I am coming to you from the Broken Skull Ranch 2.0 out here in the Silver State, Nevada. And, man, I tell you what, I got a hell of a podcast for you today. One of my closest friends, longtime friend, former travel partner, and former roommate, Diamond Dallas Page, joins the podcast today. And, man, we're talking about different things that he uses to hold back the hands of time, some of the things he's working about with his DDPY program. We're going to talk a little bit about wrestling. We're going to talk about life in general. And it's nice to be able to just call up a buddy and shoot the breeze with him, and it becomes a podcast. I think you're going to enjoy this show. I enjoyed it immensely, and it's always fun to talk to Diamond Dallas Page because with so much negativity out there everywhere in the world, this guy is such a positive force, and it ain't bullshit. It's the real deal. And I take the same approach. My glass is always half full of beer, but nonetheless, it's half full. And so that's what I love about talking to Dallas. He's out there working his ass off every day and making the most of his life. We're out here at the Broken Skull Ranch. Going to be out here for a couple of more days. It's been a fun 2 weeks that seems has really flown by. And as soon as we get back to Los Angeles, it's back on the path to promoting Straight Up Steve Austin, my show. Last night, Becky Lynch, the man, was on the show, and I had an awesome time hanging out with her, and I hope you enjoyed the show. Gabriel Iglesias, fluffy guy. World-famous comedian, one of the hardest-turned comedians out there, 46 out of 52 weeks in a year. He joins me next week on Straight Up Steve Austin. So if you've never seen the show, I know that millions of you have heard of Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy. So tune in. He's an absolute blast. And I keep saying this is one of my favorite episodes. This is one of my favorite episodes. Well, the episode with Gabriel Iglesias is one of my favorite episodes, as we both share a love for cars and other things that you'll see in the show, and I hope you enjoy that. Set your DVRs to the USA Network every night after Raw, Monday Night Raw on the USA Network, 11 p.m., 10 Central. Man, not too much else is going on out here at the ranch. I've been busy working on a few projects, been training. I will be making an appearance on Monday Night Raw next week, September 9th, 2019. I never thought I'd be back in Madison Square Garden, but here I go again, as the old Whitesnake song goes. And I'm looking forward to getting down there because Madison Square Garden is such a special place, and I talked about it on the podcast last time, so I won't beat a dead horse. But just to give you a reminder, whether you watch a show on television or you're going to be there at the Garden live, yours truly, not Steve Austin, Stone Cold Steve Austin, will be there opening up a can of whoop-ass, stomping mud holes and walking them dry. I don't think they invited me down there just to sit in the back and have a heart-to-heart with some of the superstars, so hopefully we take care of some business and do it in high fashion. We will see. Stay tuned. Set your DVR Monday Night Raw, and then immediately following that, check out Straight Up Steve Austin. I'm fixing to gas up my Kawasaki Teryx and take one last ride before we start spooling everything up here and getting back into the grind of the main streets of Los Angeles. Hit the promotional trail. Keep promoting the show. I've got a couple of other things lined up, and I've got some irons in the fire that I think you're going to be excited about. And some really interesting opportunities. I can't talk about it this time, but I think you're going to dig it. And I am really, really looking forward to it and making the announcement as soon as possible. So enjoy this podcast with my longtime friend Diamond Dallas Page and myself shooting the breeze. And that's the bottom line, because I said so. Are you ready for some football? NFL season kickoff is happening this week, and it's time to get in on all the exciting action. All of us here at Podcast One are yet again competing against each other in the hashtag Sportsnet Challenge. And if there's one thing I know for certain, the kid here is going to stomp a mud hole in the competition. Shaq, Adam Carolla, K.L. Sonnen, you've all been put on notice. Here's what we got for the kickoff weekend in the NFL. Packers at the Bears. Man, I got to go Bears. Falcons at the Vikings. Boy, that's a tough call. I'm going Falcons. Rams at the Panthers. Man, I'm going Rams. Are you looking for a place to make your online wagers? Then head over to betonline.ag to take advantage of the best bonuses in the business. Sign up today for a free account at betonline.ag and use the promo code PODCAST1. Or text BET NOW to 238-669 to receive a 50% welcome bonus. That's betonline.ag, your online sportsbook experts and exclusive partners of Podcast One Sportsnet. Are you living with chronic pain, places like your back, shoulder, hip, neck, or knee? After years of dishing out and taking beatings in a squared circle, I've had my fill of aches and pains that still linger to this day, so I can relate. Thankfully, the great folks at BioWave have something for me and you. BioWave GO. This device uses patented high-frequency neurostimulation pain-blocking technology that delivers therapeutic electrical signals through the skin into deep tissue right to the surface of pain fibers. What that means is that BioWave GO blocks that pain deep at the nerve for up to 24 hours from just one 30-minute treatment. This is different than those old-school TENS units as it goes above and beyond and the results last longer. I've been using BioWave GO on my back, my neck, whatever's aching me, and it's the real deal. BioWave GO is 100% drug-free pain relief. It's FDA cleared and currently used by most professional sports teams across the board. So you can keep all your smelly creams and pain relief gimmicks that don't work. It's time to step it up and use what the pros use. Learn more at BioWaveGo.com. And if you're on board, and you should be, try BioWave GO with a no-risk 30-day money-back guarantee plus free shipping. Again, that's BioWaveGo.com, BioWavego.com. Try it out today and start living a fuller, pain-free life because I said so.
The Steve Austin Show. The Steve Austin Show.
Man, I'm rolling live right now with Diamond Dallas Page. He's walking around the basement in his crib. And where are you at? Smyrna, Georgia? Atlanta, Georgia?
Actually, I'm in Atlanta, GA now.
Okay.
I moved. My new place is in Atlanta. It's more like the Vinings area. Moved here about a little over a year and a half ago.
You like it out there?
Yeah, I'm digging it. Let me show you the gym area, dude. I didn't show you this yet. So
see, I'm watching Dallas on video right now, and he's just showing me, dude, when'd you get this crib? About a year ago? Because I remember you telling the story.
About a year and a half ago.
So obviously you guys are settled in, and man, when I'm watching this, I'm like, you got all this cool shit framed up, and you got it all displayed really nicely. Now you're showing me your gym. It looks fantastic. You're out of breath. It sounds like you're doing something other than talking to me on the Skype. But that is one thing, when I look at all the stuff that you've done, is I wish I would have taken a better approach to collecting some of the stuff. So I literally have nothing. You've been to my house in L.A., and you haven't seen us play out in Nevada. But it's the same. I do have out in my shop, I have this one storage area where everything is kind of migrated to when I had it out of storage when we moved out of South Texas. And so I think I'm going to kind of make that just kind of like my man cave to display stuff. But goddamn, how long did it take you to frame all that shit up? And did you do that yourself, or did Brenda do that?
We did a little bit of both. Lexi helped me frame, putting all the pictures up. That's the shit that you gotta, that's what takes the time. You can see like the framing of the stuff, so it's like you get to really go through it, and like it's just memories, man. I don't have to go back and live them. We already did, so for me personally, there's just so many memories that I've kept forever, and I've lost quite a few of them too. Just lost them because you just lose shit as you move from one spot to another.
But let me ask you something, because this area that you're showing me right now, that everybody's listening to us talk about, this is your screening room, some of your office. Is this place where you go to escape? What is this?
Yeah, it's more of the house is. Brenda's been able to make it into a really big place, a home. The main reason that I got this home was to work with athletes, because this side was already made. I wanted to make something I want to be known in the next 3 years as the guy who helps athletes who are, top athletes in the world, get another year, 2, 3 years. Guys who've been injured. There's a certain way that they, how many guys, the reason why guys end their career is because they get injured. Very few guys get to walk away. And I don't know if Peyton Manning ever would have, if he ever would have walked away, if he didn't, if it wasn't for his neck, same thing with you, if it wasn't for your neck, you would never walked away, but you got to make a bigger choice at some point. But so much, what I've seen, the NFL players, because we have a partnership now with the NFL alumni, which is really huge. And I'm working with so many of those guys right now. And I mean, they come in and work one-on-one with me with my DDPY program. And then I stay in touch with them. Like I'm working with Jerry Ostrowski, who played offensive line for the Buffalo Bills for 10 years. A lot of these guys that I'm finding, the grinders, the guys who come in on the practice squad that don't get the big contracts coming in, they make like their, 75, 100 grand a year, and they're on a practice squad. If they stick it out long enough and they keep working, a lot of those guys can make it to 8, 9, 10 year, served in the league. And Ostrowski was one of those guys. And the only reason he stopped playing was because he broke his leg again. And then at that point, he was like forced to retire. But he blew up to 443 pounds, completely immobile.
Yeah, well, dude, what are you finding with these guys? Because, man, every one of the offensive linemen, defensive linemen, that seems to be the guys that I'm running into. Every one of these guys, for the most part, have had 8+ year careers, average of about 10, which is a long time. And every one of them says, I am beat to shreds. Is that what you're finding?
Absolutely. Well, it's so much like our business. It's, guys who are, really beat up and didn't really know what to do. I'll give you a good example. Just to finish the thing with Jerry Ostrowski. Started with 443 pounds. Now, Steve, this is one of the biggest human beings. He had the giantism thing going, and his son did too. He's the only known case in the United States that a father and son actually have had it. His son's a thoroughbred, but he was 6'4", but has a huge head, ridiculously big, like catcher mitt hands, and size 17 feet. And the bottom line is had lost all mobility. So I could start him in my chair workouts. That's where he started. 443 pounds. 6 months later, he's down 72 pounds, but he's doing my diamond cutter workouts. And he's been playing golf twice a week now. And he's back to working in Oklahoma, for one of the teams out there. So, getting to see these guys get back mobility, that and strength, and then they can start doing other things again. That's the quant.
Yeah, but what'd you do with this nutrition program? Because obviously you had to make some dietary changes. You don't get up to 443. I understand giantism, acromegaly, but did you make any nutrition changes?
100%. You see, I won't even work with anybody who's over 100 pounds overweight if they do not watch Food Inc., which is when the documentary Oscar in 2007, Food Inc., and then they got to follow it up with watch Genetic Roulette. They have to see why the food is affecting them the way it is. They genetically changed the food. Some people think it's great. Every single person I work with, the way they react to it, how bad their bodies feel, I know it's bullshit, and I don't care who said it. I've got one documented case after another. You get someone off gluten and dairy, you get someone to stop eating GMOs, genetically modified food, they feel different doing nothing. Now you add something like DDPY that's going to help break up the scar tissue, alleviate the pain, create mobility. Well, now they feel great. I just started working with, and I don't know if you know him or not, but Lionel Dalton. He played on the world champion Ravens. He had 8 years in the NFL, and a great guy. I met him when he was down here. Well, he lives here, but at the Super Bowl, because they put out the press release about DDPY being in partnership with the NFL, and we just clicked. And then we stayed in touch with each other. He just came to work with me 2 weeks ago. Now he's 6 foot, 365 pounds, real basic on mobility. And he not only worked with me, he came back to my DDP Yoga Performance Center and works out, came to my open house the other day. He was supposed to come last week. He's coming this week to do a one-on-one with me at my house. And that's what I've set up at my house. My house is like a wellness center now. You know, I've got the hyperbaric chamber, the infrared sauna, the steam room, the hot tub, the teeter board, so you can hang yourself upside down, the beamer pad, so it creates more blood flow that'll help you heal faster. I've got all these things, and I've got them for me, but to show them how much longer they could have had with their career, but the guys who are beat up, how they can help turn back the hands of time for getting beat up during their career.
Dude, I've been wanting to try the hyperbaric chamber ever since you started selling me on it, but I'm just too claustrophobic to do that, so we're going to skip over that. We don't need to go there. But I do want to ask you about the infrared sauna, because I was thinking about getting one of those installed over in my shop out here in Nevada. Do you dig it? Does it relax you? What does it do for you? Because, dude, man, I'm watching you, and this is going somewhere, because I'm getting to all this damn energy source, because you've been everywhere. You've been in Schaumburg, Illinois this past weekend with AEW. I want to get into some of that, walking down the ramp with Cody. I know you guys are tight, but tell me about the infrared sauna, and does that help?
I originally got it more than anything for my wife because she had cancer, you know, so what the infrared sauna does, and as opposed to a regular sauna, it's kind of like, example would be a microwave oven. A microwave oven cooks you from the inside, cooks the food from the inside out. An infrared sauna goes inside your body and pushes the toxins out. And toxins could be anything from the bullshit food that you eat to pesticides, anything that's in your body. And when you sweat, bro, like what I do, this is my routine when I'm home now. And it helps me because my sleep sucks. But I'm doing this whole brain mapping thing right now to help me with sleep. And it's going to take about 10 weeks. I'll keep you posted on that. And what I do is I wake up, I get in the hyperbaric chamber for an hour to an hour and a half. I bring my stuff in there, and I'm doing things. I have everything sealed, so it can't get any spark or anything. From there, I go right over. I turn on my sauna. I go upstairs. I make a shake. By the time I come down, my sauna's about 120. It's going to go to 140, 150. I'm going to stay there for 30 minutes. Now, I mean, it's just oozing out of me, man. You feel so good. But Steve, it is so important when you get an infrared sauna, you need to know what the wood is, and you really don't want any glue. Like a lot of these, I get infrared sauna for $2,000. Good luck with that one. Because as much as the toxins are taking out of your body, well, the other shit's coming in. And if it's wood, glue, and there's not the right wood and glue, well, that stuff's going to come right back into your body. So I found through, I deal with some of the healthiest people on the planet. And the company that I deal with, God, I can't remember their names right now, but they were the absolute best. A 3-person sauna with their company was like $6,000. And every guy that I come through here, from Jerry to Pat to the different guys, the NFL guys who come in, they're like, I'm getting one of these. I'm getting one of these. And the other super really good deal is that beamer pad that Kevin Nash turned me on to. Now you can pay $5,000-$6,000 for the beamer, or you can find this one and it's called PQM, something like that. It's like one of the ones it's a knockoff, but it's actually better than the actual beamer pad. And leave it to Nash to find something that's going to cost $1,200 instead of $5,000 or $6,000, but it works just as good. And the reason why I can tell you it does, my hands were so numb when I'd be sleeping that it would wake me up, and just hitting your hand, and I know you've done the same thing yourself, hit your hand to wake it back up and get the numbness out of it. I couldn't even do it. It was so bad. It was running down my wrist. Since I've been doing that beamer pad minimum once a day, most times twice a day, it's all gone. All numbness gone.
It's funny you say that, because I did that this morning, and I hadn't done it in a while, but both hands, about midway up to my forearms, was both asleep. So what the hell is the beamer pad? Is it just basically an electric blanket you lay on, or what?
It's a pad that you fold up twice, so it unfolds, and it's about 5 foot tall, 5 foot long. Like the Beamer pad's expensive. Cowboy Bill Watts and I were actually talking about it a couple of days ago, but I did the research from the Beamer pad that I want to say it's PMF that Nash turned me on to. I'll send you the link. What it does is it helps circulate the blood, and it shows you, if you look up the Beamer pad, anybody's listening, just go on YouTube when you get done with Steve's show and just Google Beamer pad blood flow video. And it will show your blood moving slowly, like really, because that's the way your blood moves, slowly through your system, through these little, these little veins and these little arteries. Then it shows you after a couple of treatments, and it moves a little faster. Then it shows you after a week or so, and it moves a little faster. Then it shows you after you've been doing it for 2 weeks, and it's like, I mean, your blood, you blow your mind. And the only reason I'm telling you, bro, you know me, they ain't paying me to say this. I'm telling you to get the cheaper one instead of getting the expensive one because it works. Now, if the cheaper one didn't work as good to me as the best, because I've been on that pad too, don't feel any different. And one of my best friends, Kent Backler, who owns Life Med Institute in Timonia, that's where I broke my latest record before at All In. I had 185 people show up for my DDP yoga workshop. It was electric. But Kent's company is all about holding back the hands of time. Life Med Institute is everything from Botoxing to hormone replacement to stem cells. Like I just had the stem cells put in my body. Did you get a chance to see Rogan's podcast with Mel Gibson?
No.
That's a great one. You got to watch that because that'll really smarten you up to this whole stem cell thing that's happening. And Reardon is like the guy. And Reardon was actually on the show with him. And Mel's talking about how his 92-year-old father was, his hips and his back and his knees and whatever. And he brought him down there and got him taken care of by Reardon. I think Reardon's business must have went through the roof because Mel put it over huge. And he said, oh, by the way, that was 8 years ago. My dad's about to turn 100. And he talked about doing his shoulder 2 different times. He did it once, lasted about a year and a half. He went back because they're always making this shit better, He went back and he said he did it 3 years ago and haven't had a problem since. I had Reardon's, like Kent Backler's, his main guy is a guy named Dr. Whips. And Dr. Whips he was the head of the Maryland Medical Center, University of Maryland, for like 2 decades or something like that. He's also a cardiac specialist. So he's the one who oversees all the stuff for Kent. And he went down there and learned Reardon's technique. Now, you had to go to Panama for this back then. And Reardon now has a research center, I guess, in Dallas, Texas. So, I had both knees done, both shoulders done. My shoulders have not bothered me since. Knees still, it's bone on bone. So they're better. As long as I keep doing my DDPY, I stay ahead of it. They're definitely better. So, and getting in a hyperbaric chamber before and after stem cells is huge.
Okay, but what is the deal with the stem cell? I mean, what are they? They're extracting your blood and they're putting it back into you. Are they centrifuging it, or what is the actual? What's the stem cell? Where does that come from?
Right,
and so I didn't know our conversation was going to go here. But we're talking about stem cell because, I've heard some of the boys starting to look into stem cell stuff. So I'm a little leery of it because I'm just anti. I don't like doctors. I've had enough surgeries and stuff like that it kind of makes me nervous. Someone taking something out of me and injecting it back into me.
Well, that's called now remember, I'm a wrestler, fitness dude. I'm not a doctor, but from what I understand with my knowledge of it, that's called PRP. I think that's what it's called. They take your blood out, they spin it, they send it back in you. It's supposed to help. I had it done originally for me years ago. I didn't really feel anything, to be perfectly honest. Then my boy, Kent, he's one of my best friends for, over 20 years. They've now got the stem cell. This is like 2 years ago. He said you got the stem cells that are, what is it called? From the woman's stomach? Placenta stem cells. And so that's where all life starts. I mean, think about it. Each and every one of us who's listening to your show and me and you, we ended up starting in our mama's belly. And we were kept alive in this sack. Again, wrestling terminology. I'm not a doctor, but I was just up to see my little granddaughter, 5 days old, and knowing she came out of my daughter, Brittany, who was, rolled around with that baby in her stomach. And this placenta is what I understand that they use, and they re-inject the stem cells out of that into your body. I don't understand all of it, Steve. All I know is my boy took care of me. He also took care of Kenny Omega, because Kenny, you can imagine how beat up he is.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. 3 months ago, I called up Kent. I said, "Will you hook Kenny up, and get him, he's not going to beat him up, on the price. He's going to make him a good deal and hook him up." He did just like I did, both shoulders, both knees. And this is like generation 1. I just did generation 2. Let's just call it that for lack of a better word. Like it's a little bit better. But Kenny, I just saw him and all out. I sent him to Kent, and he's like, "Man, I love that guy. He is what a great human being he is." He's one of those guys. Kent's one of those guys, and his girl Jen. All they care about is helping people. That's like who they are. And it's so cool. Like, that's why we had such a huge turnout at their Life Med Institute, where they had a huge workshop back there, because they are telling people all the time, because they know it's going to help heal them. So stem cells are in me. I definitely felt there was a guy here called himself Dr. Stem Cell in Atlanta. That's the first time I did him. He was his was good. It really helped me. The second time I went for Kent's, because he's one of my best friends. He hooked me up. I still paid, but he hooked me up. I feel good.
But how long does it last, and what do you feel? Is it an energy booster or a pain reliever?
Well, let's this. And anyone who's ever in any kind of pain, say your knee's bothering you. And your knees bother you, and you get up and your knees bother you. You're sitting down and your knees bothering you. And everywhere you go, oh God, I got to walk down those stairs. Your knees are bothering you. And then you get this shot in your knee. It's like, oh my God, I feel amazing. But you know what it does? I don't even think about my knee. Like, I'm not aware of it. I'm not aware of the pain. So that's what it is to me. Now, I'm going to do my workout to strengthen all around that, so that it gets stronger and stronger. The other day, Stevie, since I've had the double shots on my shoulders, okay, because I did both shoulders, both knees this time, and like literally did it at Kent's, his place, it may have took 10 minutes. Maybe it was 8 minutes.
That's all it takes?
That's all it takes.
Oh, I thought it was like a several-hour process.
No, not for just going to do both knees, both shoulders. Maybe it took 10 minutes. But the bottom line is, I have not been able to go over 8 10-second push-ups. And you know how hard a 10-second push-up can be. Lower for 10 seconds, hold 3 inches off the ground for 10 seconds, and come up for 10 seconds. The other day, and I've only done this this is the third time I would ever do this, ever. And I was so pissed I didn't film it, because I filmed the last one, but that was a year ago. I did 10 10-second push-ups. So all I know is I did this stuff, the stem cells, about 3-4 weeks ago, whenever I was up there. It was a month ago. I just did it. And last week, before I'd gone out to go on the road, during my workout, Lexi, my daughter Lexi, she always works out with me if she's in the house. And when we get to the 10-second push-ups, which is right away, right after when I created the NXT warm-up, which is something I do at the beginning of every workout. I just do it extensively, did it for the guys at NXT. Then I go right to the push-ups. And normally I do 6 to 8. Well, that day I did 10. So I hadn't done that in over a year. So I don't know if that had much to do with it, but my shoulders don't bother me when I lift them. My knees, still play with me a little bit. I'm aware of it, but it doesn't hurt. Never hurts. It's just I'm aware it doesn't feel perfect.
What are you personally doing as far as your diet? Because back in the day when we lived together, you were big into juicing, and I know you kind of modify everybody's diet that you work with, especially people that are way off course. But you personally, and the reason I'm getting back to, you have always been, since I've been living with you over 15 years ago, it was always about holding back the hands of time, and that's what you still practice and preach.
Right.
So what is a normal diet, or is it just, are you watching what you eat, or just lean-based proteins and some fiber stuff? And I know you're not heavy on carbs.
Here's exactly what I ate. I'll tell you exactly what I ate. No one pays me to say this, okay? It's really important. It's an unsponsored ad to me when I talk about stuff. I'm 100% gluten-free, 100% dairy-free. The bread that I found, it's called Canyon, Canyon. I came across it. I buy loaves of it and ship to me. It's the best bread I've ever had. And when you toast gluten-free bread, it's not all gluten-free bread, but this is unbelievable. So they have their English muffin type thing. So I had one of those. One I just put butter on. The other I put butter. I think it's called Kite, and it's an imitation cream cheese, but super healthy. That had like everything on it, type of taste to it, the seasoning they had in it, and some organic strawberry jelly. I had 8 eggs, 4 yolks. Not 8 yolks, but I take 4. I ground some Manchego cheese that I get from Costco. Costco is the big. People want to eat healthy, go to Costco, because whoever runs that thing, they have so much organic stuff there. That's from fresh to frozen. Their frozen organic stuff is amazing, from their string beans to their cauliflower to you name it. And I'm a fresh guy first, but when you're in a hurry, I'm going to grab the bag. And for people who are trying to eat economically, go to Costco. So I had 8 eggs, ground some Manchego on it. And then I found, you ever go to you've been to a million nice restaurants. You ever notice how they'll drop a couple of little greens on top of it? And they look like, what's that thing in the ground? The horseshoe, not horseshoe,
I know what you're talking
the cauliflower. They're like the shamrock. They look like little shamrocks and stuff. Dude, those are called microgreens. They are ridiculously healthy for you, but they taste amazing. So I've been putting organic sprouts and some of those, whether it's kale or arugula or whatever it is, mustard, greens on top of that. I love it so much, Steve, because the food you get on the road, is nowhere near what you're going to get at home. I will bring the greens with me. I brought my gluten-free muffins with me because I know they're not going to have the stuff. People say, well, how do you do this? I bring shit with me. So I got what I want to eat. So that's breakfast. I'll have a shake. That'll be a 100% organic shake with organic berries from Costco. And then tonight, I'll have some organic grilled chicken with roasted cauliflower, a sweet potato, organic, of course, and a salad I'll make up. That I had Big Kaz over here, he comes back and forth occasionally. And the first time he tastes a salad, he goes, I'm not really a big salad eater. I said, try this. He's like, what the fuck is this? I go, that's a salad by me or Brenda or Lexi made.
Okay, but so basically, you're eating smart, you're eating clean, but you're eating organic. A lot of people say, hey man, what's the big deal? Is organic worth it? From you, is it?
Well, let's put it like this: what our great grandparents used to call organic food, because that's how they grew plants in their backyard. There was no spray put on them. If you want to look at the last 20 years, you want to talk about food, go back to 1989. Go and film a Leonard Skinner concert, because those boys are still killing it on the road. But go and not film the concert, film the people. See what they look like in the late 80s, early 70s, middle 70s. See what they look like now. It's like everybody's doubled in size. But in 1989, they hadn't. 1996, it started. That's when they started with changing our food. And if you watch Food Inc. and Genetic Roulette, like when I have, again, I'm not working with anybody who doesn't watch those movies. Lionel Dalton is coming over to my house just so I can show him and his wife both. Like, here's how we eat. Here's what we buy. And then you start to educate yourself. Then you're like, God, this tastes so much better. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, let's take a strawberry. Let me spray some Roundup on that for you, or whatever it is. Or we'll pull it out of the forest and go, here.
Yeah.
Which one tastes better?
Yeah. Duly noted. What you do in the bedroom is totally up to you and your partner or partners. But if you're not using Trojan brand condoms, you're missing out on a safe and enjoyable experience. Protect yourself from STIs and unintended pregnancy with Trojan condoms. You don't think of condoms without thinking about Trojan, and with over 30 different varieties, there's a lot to choose from. You see how people pick out their condoms at the store. They grab a random box and head to the checkout like a sorry SOB. Well, those days are over. Confidently walk into that store, grab a pack of Trojan condoms, and march up to that register with your head held high. Buying condoms shouldn't be this awkward because it's important. 20 million Americans contract an STI each year, and half are younger than 25. That's why you should go with the #1 most trusted condom brand on the market. And it doesn't matter if you're 2 months or 2 years into your relationship. Trojan condoms will be there every step of the way. Now go get your Trojan brand condoms today.
ESPN's Woody Page is putting down the chalkboard and picking up the mic for the Woody Page podcast on PodcastOne.
You came to me and said, I'm thinking about taking this job with the NFL Network.
Yeah.
What do you think? And I said, take it because you can always come back to newspapers.
And I could tell you, Jim Sacamano, who was a vice president with the Broncos, I remember going to him, and he looked at me like I was crazy. He's like, you must stay.
Drop the chalk and download new episodes of the Woody Page podcast every week on Apple Podcasts and PodcastOne.
Gamers, it's time to raise some hell and make some mayhem. Shoot and loot your way through a mayhem-fueled adventure in Borderlands 3 for the PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Borderlands 3 features all new characters, over 1 billion guns and weapons, and a ridiculous amount of customization. Play solo or with your friends to take on insane enemies, score loads of loot, and save the galaxy from a fanatical threat. Mayhem is coming September 13th on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Pre-order now at Borderlands.com. Rated M for mature.
This is the Steve Austin Show.
I want to shift gears here in just a second and talk a little bit about some wrestling action. I just saw you at the AEW All Out pay-per-view. But right now, as we speak, you're 63 years old, still full of energy. But recently, you had a few problems with your throat. And I was quite concerned about you, and you were pretty concerned about you. So what ended up happening to you?
Well, yeah, man. The God's honest truth, it scared the hell out of me because I was talking like that for 7 weeks. And I had to completely shut up and not talk. And you know what that does to me, Reagan. I had to completely shut up and not talk at all for like 10 days. And what the doctors told me is I have, basically I've blown out my throat. And it could have been, what it comes down to is my right side of my voice, what is it called? My cord, my voice, what do they call it? The
vocal box, larynx?
Vocal cord. Yes, yeah. The left side of my vocal cords is 100% paralyzed. The right side, actually, it's the right side is 100% paralyzed. The left side, I'm 40% paralyzed. So I'm working off a quarter of a voice box. And and I went to the top people, Steve, like the top people in the world, which are Vanderbilt, the guy here, Dr. Andrews here in Atlanta. And he said, Dallas, there's nothing I can do for you. He said, if you get sick and your throat starts swelling up, you get a hold of me immediately because we got to get you on prednisone to take down the swelling. Now, how did this happen? Years of, getting hit in the throat, heavy weight, straining myself, pushing my voice. I don't do a lot of, I'll do your podcast. I turn them down all the time now, because I'm only going to talk so much. I'm not going to be excited and keep pushing myself through the wall. What happened was we had the end of the year sale. You saw that video of Vance, the guy who was 475 pounds. That went viral on the day after Christmas. It had 27 million views in 5 days. Now it's like 38 million views. That blew up huge. We released my new book, Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It. And we, with that, did $1 million challenge. We picked, there's 5 contestants that we're down to. In the next 2 weeks, we're going to pick the 2 top ones that wasn't just a transformation physically, but transformation mentally. And how we determined that was stuff that they wrote, interviews, etc., talking to them afterwards. And then we're going to bring those two people in, put them up, and then bring them to the DDP Yoga Performance Center. And we're going to have 100 books up. And under that 100 books, the least that'll be in that book is $5,000. But behind one book will be $1 million. If that happens, that'll be explosive. I don't want to know nothing about it. I don't want to be anywhere near it. I just want to watch what happens. We're going to do that twice. So I'm talking about that. And then the week of the Super Bowl, went back up. 3 weeks into this, going to New York, going to LA, promoting my book, talking about the contest, talking about this. I did 100. Before the Super Bowl, I was probably about 75 interviews in, and probably about 15 podcasts. I had to go and get a shot to PodcastOne to take the swelling down in my throat. And I went right back out. Now, that's where was really stupid.
That's wrestler's mentality.
Yes. I went right back out. And then on my first day down at Radio Row, bro, on the way there, I couldn't talk hardly at all. I got 4 more days. So I went and got another shot like an idiot. Like, put me back in, coach. This is huge. I probably finished with like 130 interviews, bro. Over that week, I guarantee I did at least 60. Like Lexi, who was with me, because she'll work as my PA, but also as she's my social media person and everything. And she's like, you got to stop. You got to go. I go, I can't. Everybody's pulling me, and they all want to talk about the NFL alumni. And you guys I was going to work with. And at some point I had promised, and this is an amazing story. And I know he won't mind if I tell the story. Pat Evans played in the NFL for 3 years. His dad, he played on the practice squad. Big son of a bitch. He had written me before he even knew about our affiliation with the alumni. And he asked me if I could help his dad, who's Mike Evans, who's 72 years old, played for the Philadelphia Eagles for 5 years. He asked me if there's any way I could work with him. Now, this is 4 weeks outside. So I was still fine. I was still be able to push myself. Well, I went to all those Super Bowl parties. I didn't drink a drop of liquor because I'm afraid it'd kill me, but I had to still try to talk through stuff. That's where I met Lionel Dalton and so many other guys. I was hanging with Tony Saraguso, hanging with Ray Lewis. All these guys, were big fans of what we did and explaining to them what we're doing. Ed Reed, I've still got to follow up with. But all these amazing relationships. So I could not do it. And then I'm finally, I'm at the end of the Super Bowl. I'm just ready to crash. But I got Pat and Mike coming in. Mike had come down. Pat was already going to be here for a convention that he was doing. But I can't. Here's two guys played in the NFL that, are expecting me to be there. So I'm going to be there. And I went through it. And right after I finished work, and dude, he did not want to use Mike. His dad, 72, did not want to use that chair. Like those Stand Strong workouts I have on the app. Like, he did not want to use a chair because, tough son of a bitch, played in, this is old school as you can get. And it's funny, but it's...
No, but it's a shoot.
It's a shoot. It's real.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's real. And he's such a good guy. When I did the up at Life Med Institute for Kent and Jen, I did that workshop. Both of those guys came, and I couldn't talk enough about it because actually Pat is now training to be an instructor. He came down here. I guess I did that. Yeah, I came down here 2 weeks ago. Pat did, and worked with me, stayed in my house, worked with me for 2 days. Like, I bring those guys in, I bring them in. If they're really going to put the work in, that's the room that I created over here. Let me just take you to that side of the house, because you were talking about the side with all the memorabilia and stuff. What I did in here, as you come in here, this is the gym where we can work out, and I've still got a leg machine over there. So for guys who need that, I very rarely use it. I got mirrors over here so I can show them their form. I've got some bench over here and stuff so if the guys still need to work out, they still want to do the weights as well. Hey, brother, do it. I'm all for it. Whatever you want to do. And then in here is the hyperbaric chamber, where you can see that thing right there, that blue sucker. Okay, I just got out of that. There's 2 zippers in there that lock it in. Then there's these safety belts that lock it in. And when that thing blows up, it's like an 8-foot steel tube. And it's some kind of space age deal. And you'll see right here where it says the gauge meter.
Yes.
Well, now we're at 0 because we're on sea level. It'll go up to 12.5, which is like being 30 feet below sea level. That's what that's about. Now, these are the 2 oxygen makers, these 2 tanks here. And this is, it's fresh oxygen here. And this is blowing in the best fresh air. In the back, you can see I got a table back there for massage. And this is my infrared sauna. And this one fits 3, as you can see in there.
Dude, that's amazing. It's like a whole rehab center there.
Exactly. Now I got another table over here if we need that. There's the teeter, so you can hang yourself upside down. Now this is the room, Steve, that I made for the players when they come in. So you see this in here? Can you see that?
Yeah.
That's the steam room. So, that's the thing that saved my voice more than anything, the steam room. So I've really made it into like a wellness center. And they got their own entrance. They can come and go as they want. Because I know I'm going to end up working with one of these top NFL players, NBA players, baseball players. I don't know who it's going to be. But eventually I'm going to work with one of those top guys. And then they're going to realize that they can just add 1 year, 2 years, 3 years to their career. Today, that's millions of dollars.
Well, I get that. Okay, but let's go back to your throat issue. Now, what are you doing for maintenance? What did the doctor say? Hey, here's your protocol from now on. And how much do you rest it? And last question, because I always like to ask 100 questions or string one out for 5 minutes. Why can't you get stem cell for your throat?
There was another guy I met this weekend who, his name is David, and he is the most passionate cat I have ever met about. He's the guy who's working with Kevin Nash. Like, you didn't see Kev's been talking about stem cells because they hooked up Kev really big on that. And Rey Mysterio, I know Johnny Morrison's gone down there. They do stuff that's in the brain. They do stuff in the back. I don't know about that, but he gave me the whole pamphlet. And I'm going to run everything by my boy Kent because he's like a leading authority on that. He does all the research, so Kent, he becomes super knowledgeable. It's like Nash is that same way.
Right.
Nash will research the hell out of shit. That's not my forte. I surround myself with, the smartest people who will tell me, though, and teach me it, and then I'll learn it. So David was explaining to me that the place that they do down in, I want to say it's Columbia.
It is.
They've got 3, yeah. So it's down there in Columbia. I mean, because he knows that, how many people I'm helping and what niche I'm into. I understand what I understand because of Reardon's, what Reardon does, but I'm not really positive. But when I saw all of the stuff that he does with the brain and the neck and the back, and I know Reardon does some of that too, but I know Kent doesn't do that yet. So if there's something that can be done for the throat, I don't know. What I do today is I do these voice exercises. When I get out off the mat, I go from the chamber to shake, sauna, workout, steam, beamer.
Every day.
And then I'm out there. Well, whenever I'm home.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you where it makes a huge difference, Steve, because being on the road, you said, how are you still doing it? And I'm not sleeping good. Because what happened when my throat closed up on me, guess what closed up? Air. So now try going to sleep when you already sleep like shit.
Yep.
And now you've got to, you can't get in your head. So one of the things for anyone who has problems breathing, I'm going to give you a secret that, I don't know anyone who does it except for when I was working with my vocal coach. She told me her husband does it all the time. Are you familiar with a neti pod?
No.
It looks like a little tea kettle. You put hot water in it, and then you put some like solution that's like saltish water. It's some other kind of enzymes they have in there too, whatever. And you spin it, you stir it, and you put it in your one nostril. And you suck it in, and it goes down the back of your throat. And you do it a couple times, and you do the other side. And then you blow your nose, and you've got to blow your nose a couple times after that. But I can breathe clearly. So that's really what I've been doing as a maintenance to keep my throat strong. But I just said I'd been home before I did that trip up to Chicago. I had been, probably 20 days, and I've never done it that many days in a row. And anytime you're doing, I got the cryo machine out in the garage too, which I didn't show you. But when you're doing these things, you have to do them repetitively. Because just like learning something, repetition's the mother of learning. Your body, you can't do something once in a while and expect it to do anything. You know, I tell people all the time, you want to feel better? DDPY, 3 days a week, 20 minutes a day, you'll feel better. You'll start to feel different. You do it 4 days a week, 40 minutes a day, you start to not just change, you'll feel different, you'll start to change your life. You can start doing it 5 days a week, an hour a day, 45 minutes to an hour a day. You start to own your life. So it's about repetition. So going into Chicago, knowing I'm not going to sleep anywhere near as good as home, I built up this resistance, I built up this strength in my body. So when I got there, I could go. We actually broke the record, and I haven't even told anybody this yet. I'm about to announce it tonight. But at Lifeline Institute, we did 185 people, which is unbelievable. You talk about working out with me at one time. My first workshop, I had 7 people there. Now I got 185 people at All Out. We did 188 people. It was crazy, man. It was amazing.
That's awesome, because I saw you doing the hype up video on your Instagram account before you left for Chicago. You were still in Atlanta, and I think at that time you had 72 confirmed. And so then you ended up breaking your record. Hey, on your Instagram account, and as I'm looking at you, and you've been walking all over the place while we've been talking, so I've seen probably between 50 and 100 pictures magnificently displayed in your office. So there was a video on your Instagram page, and it was cut to, kind of like a spinoff of Nirvana Team Spirit.
Right.
So,
right.
And you know who the one I'm talking about.
Sure.
So, with all this stuff that's surrounding you in your office, someone sends you, because they always send us these things, and you see that, and this was at a period when you were just white hot, and it's just a montage of diamond cutters, you throwing your hands up in a diamond sign, you swagger walking down that damn ramp, getting into the ring. There's some great action clips from some of your matches. Lasts almost a minute long. When you see that, and that music is infectious. I watched it 4 times back to back to back. Because, it pumped me up. But now, when you look back at it, everybody always asks me about my career, and I said, hey, man, I read into the sunset a long time ago. I got over it. But you personally, and you know why I got out. First of all, why did you retire?
Well, age. Because I still... this is really funny. I guess the segue. I wrestled in 1979. I had 3 matches over that period. So I wrestled in the 70s. In 80s, in 1989, Dusty was, the man. He was at Florida Championship Wrestling. And I lost. My guy lost the match, and Dick Slater got 5 minutes with DDP. And that match is on YouTube somewhere. I've seen it. And I'll tell you what, for not knowing anything, I did kind of decent, considering I was a bumblefuck manager. My run in the 90s.
Yes.
I had 2000, beginning with, WWE, WCW and WWE. And then on 2010, January 3rd, I did a tag team in Rome, Georgia, just 1 match. And of course, I hit some good spots. And you still got it. I'm thinking, smoke and mirrors. So I wrestled in 5 decades. Now, you take, the teens now. I've hit diamond cutters all through 6. And I got a feeling, because I know Lou Thez did 7 decades, where he actually was at the beginning and the end, just like I am in this. And that would make me about 65 if AEW does what, the fans believe it can do, because that's the most fan-run place I've ever seen in my life. That they know that the fans have done it all. If they can hold on to that, and you've seen it, man, it's insanely amazing, like this whole ride.
But digress for a second. Back to you. Okay, you retired. You were too old. when you see those videos, do you still get hyped up, or do you like, hey man, if I could buy a machine and go back in time, I sure as hell would like to do that again?
No, I would always absolutely like to do it again, but I know that we can't buy that machine. So it makes me feel so good, to be able, first of all, kids who cut all that stuff up and took the time to do it, it was just amazing to me. I don't really, all I need to do is watch it, because I watch these kids today and how they're beating up their body at a different level, with the crazy stuff they're doing, but they're getting that impact. So whatever it is, it works. It works for them anyway. I wish I could go back in time and do it, but it's not really my focus. I've embraced the age thing. Like, I love telling people, I'm like, let's see, what is it right now? Right now I'm 7 months from 64. That's what I tell people. Not I'm 63.
But that's one of the reasons I like talking to you, because we can sit there and go down memory lane again, or we can talk about the Florida territory just for a podcast for the hell of it. But you have moved on, and so have I. And I've told so many of those stories a million times. Yeah, it's fun telling them, but I kind of, would rather talk about something else. So this whole podcast, we've just been talking about bullshit. But let's go to Schaumburg, Illinois, for just to wrap this thing up. As you were walking down the ramp with Cody before his match with Sean Spears, how did you get roped into this? And so what was the occasion?
Well, it comes down to mentoring Cody. Because originally, since he was 12, probably 13 years old, 12 or 13 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just a relationship we had. And when he left, when he had the guts to be one of the first guys to walk away from the machine, walk away from $500,000 a year, being mid-card, because walked away for the same reason that you walked away from WCW, went to ECW and did what you did. You saw yourself somewhere else. No, I'm not a mid-card guy. I'm a main event guy, and I'll prove it to you. And when he first did that, we talked, of course, like we've talked on so many different levels for so many different things. And I said, I want you to come in because I want to interview you. I want to find out, like, you and Brandy both. I want to, like, what, where are you now? Because I wanted people to know, because besides the little piece of internet, like our videos of people can really get out there and help rebrand them. And he told me that last year, that the year after he was gone, it's the first time he made 7 figures. Way more money he made WWE, but he was loving what he was doing. And that, as you know, is the key to everything. And he, we filmed that one. And then the next year we're coming back. It's going to be right after All In. So we've got so much stuff to talk about. When I did this yearly, New Year's Eve, interview with him. And now it's going to become like an annual thing. And knowing what happened at All In, the predecessor to All Out, and what's happened with Tony Khan and all this, just amazing. It's an amazing time for wrestling. Like, people say, oh man, you think it's going to affect WWE? I said, no, nothing's going to touch the machine. I mean, the WWE is its own entity. It's like a different universe, literally, their own universe. Do I think it'll make them better? I think they'll pay more attention to, because now there's somebody out there who has, like, if you look at Impact, you look at ROH, you look at the other leagues that are out there, which actually are, have viewers, for AEW to come out of nowhere and sell out 3 houses immediately and have great buy rates on pay-per-view, like, it's unprecedented. So you don't really know. But I said right in the beginning of this, as soon as this shit happened, like, I'm a WWE guy. I love the company. They weren't the greatest to be coming in, but they had a point to prove because of WCW, and they're going to beat it down. But they certainly came through for me strong at the end, and from Hunter calling me and putting me in the Hall of Fame and Vince being there at that, to me, I have a great relationship with the WWE, and I wanted to keep it. I wanted to continue working with them. But if Cody's going to ask me to do something, I don't charge, there's all those other guys who are on contract. I will not take money from Cody Rhodes. Just won't. I make plenty of money. I'm there to help him where he needs it. I will mentor him like I have for 20 plus years. I will help him wherever he needs it. All he has to do is ask. He asked me to be, an all in. And on the same day, he said, "Do you think you got a diamond cutter in you?" I said, "For you, I do." So didn't do anything the next show. Carried Brandy out, which, to tell you the God's honest truth, because my knees, and I hadn't done the stem cell thing yet, and picking her up, putting her on my shoulder, and I didn't practice it, and she was light as a feather. But you know how you get in your head if you haven't done something yet? I'm going to walk all the way back, all that distance for her on my shoulders. Great spot, a lot of fun. It was perfect, but it was in my head a little bit. I was like, God, I hope my knees hold me up. But this last one was just doing the Star Trek walkout. That was super easy. Just, be a part of, what they're doing. I didn't get invited to the WWE's Big Raw that went on. I was like, okay, I guess I'm banished again. But, if they called me to do something, I do it, because the company has been very good to me, but my heart is with my nephew, and if he needs something, I'm going to be there to do it for him. You know the way I am, bro. Scott Hall says my addictions helping people, and he's probably fucking right,
But how does it feel to mentor the son of the guy who mentored you? And obviously, you got to take that near and dear to your heart and take it very seriously.
I do. I do. Did I ever tell you, and I think I might have told you something, I won't repeat myself, but did I ever tell you he's going to be a wrestler story?
Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah, the state champ and all that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, when you have a kid who says, "I'm going to be state champion," he's a sophomore. He says he's going to be a state champion, not that year, but the next year. And then he goes 48-0. You kind of go like, wow, that kid gets it. And then he comes back the next year and loses that match, in the middle, after 12 matches or whatever. And then for people who don't know the story, I'll just tell you that part. I call him up and say, "Hey man, how you doing?" Because, I hadn't talked to him, and he just lost that first match in 2 years. And he said, "Dallas, I lost. I fucking lost." And I said, "Thank God." And he was like, "What? Like, why would you say that?" Like, he's a 17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid at the time. I think he was 17. He's like, "Why would you say that?" I said, "Code, you think you learn anything from winning? Bro, you learn from failing, from falling down, making mistakes." I said, "The key is, what did you learn?" And we talked about that. I said, "Hey, you know what the really funny thing is here, Cody? That kid thinks he beat you. He doesn't know he got to do it again. He thinks he can beat you. That's the stake for him." And the bottom line, he met that kid in the finals of the state championship. There's 5 seats for ringside for family. I don't know if it was grandpa or whoever. Cody got him out of the seat and brought me down there to be with Dusty and Michelle. And so to be there with that family on that, I was failing. When Dusty died, Cody had Michelle called me first. I remember exactly where I was. And Cody would call me probably a couple of days after that. And he said, Cody would so often call Dusty. He would call him Dusty. He said, when Dusty was dying, he said, "I got 5 friends, Cody." And, he goes, 5. He goes, "Some people have come on and off the list, but Dallas never did. He's always been on that list." And that was like, I'd heard it from Dream, a dozen times. But for Cody to say it right after he died, that was super strong. So on that note, who do you think I'm going to help? If he needs it. But if WWE wanted me to do something, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
Last question. Your thoughts on the Wednesday Night Wars? Wow.
What we were a part of, Steve, was such unbelievable. Monday Night Wars was such it will go down forever. Certainly they'll be watching that. Like they've listened to Frank Sinatra and the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, like they'll be watching that time period in time because of everything that happened and how amazing it was. And when people say, "Do you ever think that could happen again?" I'm like, no way. It's impossible. It could never be set up. And then all of a sudden, magically, it gets set up. Like one of the things I said to Cody, and I talked to Tony Khan about it. I was like, why don't you just go head to head on one of the nights with WWE? He goes, no, we don't have the fan structure yet. I go, yeah, but that creates this channel switching, which is how you do that. And he's like, no, I never said another word about it. I was like, okay, I'm just curious. Because if you're going to go all in, so to speak, that's the way to do it. And because then it comes down to story time, who you're going to watch, from our stuff, flipping back and forth. So when I heard that WWE was going to go Wednesday nights across from them, I went, oh my God, that's magic. Like, because I know all those kids down there, and there's some great hands. There's some great, just talkers. Tommaso, when he came off of his injury with his neck, he spent 3 days here at my house. Be working with him. We talk all the time, man. They're a machine, man. Their shows are amazing. They've got Triple H had told me about the Performance Center, his Performance Center, before it even existed, and explained what it was going to be. And it was exactly what he said it was. So now you've got probably the slickest machine on the planet going against the raw upstart of this business. But the third man in the ring is the crowd. And that crowd, I haven't seen that crowd since 1997 WCW, 1998, WWE, ECW, to any of those years at the freaking bingo parlor. It's just a lot more of them, and they're white hot. So now that they've already got X amount of shows sold out for TV, it's going to be really interesting. I did an interview with, I was at StarCast, and Conrad, actually it was Tony Schiavone called me up, and he texted me, said, can you come on and finish up the interview me and JR are doing tonight? And I had to do that walkthrough, the first part of the stuff for Cody over at the building. I said, sure, if you can fit me in at this time, I'd love to do it. And I went out there and we talked, and it was a great little spot they did. And I ended it talking about the repetitions of affirmations. First of all, I was thanking the fans. These fans are so passionate. And that's what's made every one of our dreams come true. The fans, which we were both the fans. We were the fans at one point. We loved watching and shit that really moved us. And I explained to them, I said that as time goes on, they're going to make mistakes. And you all have been there through all of the insanity of this ride. But, we both know that wrestling fans can be, they can be rough. They can be rough on you. And I was explaining, like, you have to, give them some time because they're going to make mistakes. And JR said, and I might say it live on the air. But it all comes down to the repetitions of the affirmations that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. They have willed this into existence. I would never thought it was possible in a billion years. Not even a million, a billion. But it's happening, and it's happening right before our eyes. And can they continually get there week to week? There lays the challenge, and that's what remains to be seen.
But I'm excited. I'm excited about it just because when you were down there and you started getting white hot, and then I started getting, I was white hot, and we kind of ran parallel paths. And then, of course, I had Goldberg down there as well, but you had your own thing going. And, man, we took the fight against you guys very personal, and y'all kicked our ass for 2 years. And every time we'd look at the ratings, and many times y'all had a badass show, no doubt. But many times we thought our show was better because obviously we're a little biased. Sure. And we were like, God dang it, why is it not reflecting in the ratings? Our show's better than theirs because we had a lot of guys getting hot. Hell, damn near had a damn whole locker room full of Hall of Famers. But anyway, we took it very personal, is my point. So it will be interesting to see. Talk about doing, giving. It'll be live. So no giving away finishes and stuff like that. But it'll be interesting to see how the talent, the guys and gals, just their presentation, their execution, and the win-win. I mean, just going to war. Dude, you're competing with someone. Same time slot, same. That's competition. I don't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the win-win is for the fans, and I'm excited about it just because you have your institution, which is Monday Night Raw. SmackDown moves to Fox, and that's going to be on Friday nights live. But now this Wednesday thing, because NXT, that's a hell of a damn product. Many times that pay-per-view is a better one than the main roster, depending on what happens. And so, the AEW stuff is exciting because they got some damn good hands, and it's like I said, it's a raw product, and they're like Tony Khan says, they don't have a history yet. They're making their history, and so you know that they're hungry, and those NXT people are very hungry too. So two organizations going head to head on a Wednesday night is awesome to me. I don't want to strain your voice. I know you have a lot going on for the rest of your day. It's mid-afternoon over there. Thank you for the time. Where can people find you? What's your next project, or what's up?
Well, in 2020, we will release Relentless, which you are in because we've interviewed you for it, which is a story of where I go from blowing my back out in 1999 to where we are today. And it's, you can't talk about Steve Jobs and not talk about Apple. You can't talk about Dallas Page and not talk about DDPY, DDP Yoga. You can't do it. They're intergrained. So we tell that story, and it's super inspirational. Like, it ain't all highs, baby, because you were there. There's a lot of lows. And, you got to keep moving forward. So that's everybody who's seen it. And I don't think I've sent it over to you yet, Steve. I'm going to send it to you tonight so you can check it out. But we're hoping to get that released right in the beginning of 2020. DDPY.com. And that's how passionate I am about changing the call letters from DDP Yoga to DDPY. Now, the company will always be DDP Yoga, but then they want to call it yoga. People want to call it yoga. And it's so not yoga. Do I have yoga positions? Yes. But I'm so passionate about it. When I started my partnership with the NFL alumni, it only read DDPY. I figure people will say P90X, and no one knows what it means.
Correct.
But you know what it was? It was the greatest. It was one of the greatest workouts ever. Sold probably 500 million packages. I mean, it was as over could be. And people learned how to say P90X. I believe at some point, and I work on it every day, branding it DDPY. Why? Because I want people to stop calling it just fucking yoga, because it's not. And now that it's big news today, because we have that whole rebuild program where you start in bed. Like, if you can't get out of bed, I got 3 workouts for you. If you can't get out of bed, I get you doing these 3 workouts that's on the app or on the DVDs. It'll help you get out and get in a chair, where I've got 10 workouts called Chair Force, sitting in a chair. And then you go to the next one, which is Stand Strong using a chair. So I bring that up because today, and I didn't say it before this because I didn't want anybody to block me, but no one, especially Steve Austin, is going to forget the $6 million man. So what was the catchphrase? Do you remember the catchphrase for him?
Yeah, we can rebuild him. We can make him better, make him stronger, faster. What was it?
Yep. We can rebuild him. Ours is, we can rebuild you. And I own it. So now
beautiful.
It just came in today. We can rebuild you. And it's a fact of life. Raven is in my performance center 3 days a week. I've got at that workshop that we just did at All Out, there was 10 comps. There was 10 kids, and I'm talking about from 8 to 12. There was 11 first responders and cops, and there was a total of 188 people that were anywhere from ridiculously good shape to, I had a guy who's one of my top finalists for the $1 million challenge. His name is Chance, and Chance was there. He started, Steve, at 524 pounds. That was on the end of, I want to say the end of January Today, he is down 154 pounds, no, 148 pounds. There was another guy named Freddie. And Freddie, he wasn't part of the contest, or he might have was. He didn't make it to a finalist. But I've been working with Freddie because I saw him working online. Just like I saw that guy Vance, who was Vance Hines, who lost 198 pounds in 1 year to the day. Vance lost 198 pounds. Vance is the guy who has inspired so many people, like Chance to lose 148 pounds. Freddie is someone I saw working so hard on Twitter that I reached out to him. And for the last 4 months, he's been sending me his food, just like Vance did. Like, I reach out to people who are putting the work in there, following the bouncing ball. So don't listen to a word. Anybody who's listening to this podcast, don't listen to a word what Steve says about my product, what I say about it. Go on Twitter, at Real DDP, at DDP Yoga. Go on Instagram, at Diamond Dallas Page, at DDP Yoga, or go on Facebook, where you will see DDP Yoga and the members only. There's about 40,000 members on there. Read what they say. Don't listen to a word I got to say. Steve, thanks so much for having me on. As always, we can talk about anything and everything for hours. I love you, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Will do, man. I'll catch you down the road.
All right, brother.
All right, let's give big ups to Geico for being a loyal sponsor of the Steve Austin Show. Go to geico.com, and in 15 minutes, you can be saving 15% or more on car insurance. That's right. Save hundreds of dollars on car insurance at geico.com. Extra money in your pocket? It may just be the most rewarding thing you do today. Hey, let's give big ups to TrueCar for being a loyal sponsor of the Steve Austin Show. With TrueCar, 60 seconds is all you'll need to get an offer for your car. And the amount of time it takes to floss your teeth, pet your dog, or do a few push-ups, you can get a true cash offer. Best of all, you can do it from your smartphone or even from your home. Just go to TrueCar and simply enter your license plate number and watch how your car's details pop up. Answer a few questions and you'll get an accurate true cash offer from a local TrueCar certified dealer. It's that easy. After that, you can bring your car in and they'll check it out with you. Together, you can ask questions and get the answers you need so there's no surprises. Then simply leave with your check or trade in your car for a new ride. So when you're ready to experience a better way to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar today. True cash offer not available in all areas. All right, everybody, give it a go-home cue. It's time to wrap up this podcast and ride off in the sunset. But before I do that, I want to thank my good friend, my longtime friend, who've been through many ups and downs together, my former roommate when I first moved out to the mean streets of Los Angeles, Diamond Dallas Page, for taking the time out of his busy schedule to speak with me on today's podcast and talking about holding back the hands of time, just some stories about life and, a little bit of wrestling action. I always enjoy talking to Dallas, and obviously he's trying to take care of his voice and cut down the mileage when he doesn't have to talk. So thank you, Dallas, for the time. It's always good just to pick up a horn and shoot the breeze with a friend that, man, we have been through thick and thin together. Anyway, thank you again to my good friend, Diamond Dallas Page. Hey, man, don't forget to rate and review the Steve Austin Show on Apple Podcasts and tell your friends to check us out. And make sure you set your DVRs for Straight Up Steve Austin every Monday night after Raw. I just had on last night the man, Becky Lynch, and I had an absolute blast hanging out with her. I believe next week's show after Raw, 11:10 Central on the USA Network, is none other than one of the hottest touring comedians in the past few years. Currently, and he operates just like the WWE does, Gabriel Iglesias. You may know him better as Fluffy. Me and Gabriel have hung around and done a couple of podcasts in the past, but we share a love of automobiles, and I like to laugh, and Gabriel Iglesias can make you laugh your ass off all day. One of the most difficult things about working with Gabriel on this episode of Straight Up Steve Austin was trying to keep a straight face. So you're going to enjoy that show. I hope you enjoyed the show with the man, Becky Lynch, because it was just a real fun time for me to talk to someone who comes from the world that I come from. And, man, she's very serious about what she does, as I was back in the day. And so you see that passion shine through. Check it out and set your DVRs every Monday night. If you want to reach me here on the podcast, send an email to questions@steveaustinshow.com. If you've got a question, comment, suggestion, someone you want me to talk to, interview, that's how you can find me. Man, I've got a badass beer, and it's been blowing up lately. Broken Skull IPA from El Segundo Brewing Company. You can find it at Whole Foods and Total Wines if you live in California. And if you're not in Cali, you might be SOL, but we are trying to work on some production. And it's an awesome beer, and I hope you get a chance to try it because I believe that my beer, Broken Skull IPA, is the best IPA in America, and that's the bottom line. I'm also got some badass pocket knives available. Everybody should have one at all times. Cold Steel Knives manufactures these knives in a collaboration with myself. We've got the Broken Skull, or the more cost-effective knife, the Working Man. You can find them at my Amazon store. Just go to amazon.com/shop/Steve Austin, or go directly to the Cold Steel Knives website to see all of their badass products. I'd like to say one more big thank you to all the fine sponsors of the Steve Austin Show, especially Roman, Borderlands, BioWave, Trojan, Geico, TrueCar, and BetOnline.ag. That's how I'm able to do this podcast for you twice a week for free. Please support them because they support us. If you need more info on my sponsors, check out the show description to this episode for details. And don't let me forget to talk about my new line of shirts, King of Attitude. There was the Monday Night Wars, and there was the Attitude Era. There was one guy that was king, and that's why I came up with this line of shirts. King of Attitude T-shirts available at ProWrestlingTees.com. Check them out. They're badass. More on the way, along with my Broken Skull Ranch selection. Folks, if you see me in the woods, and that's where I'm fixing to go right now, I'm fixing to go gas up my Kawasaki Teryx and go for a ride. Until next time, my name is Steve Austin. I'm in Nevada, heading back to Los Angeles in 2 days, and I will catch your ass down the road.
This has been a PodcastOne production. Download new episodes of The Steve Austin Show every Tuesday at PodcastOne.com. That's PodcastOne.com.